Okay, let's write an essay. Like I said, one of the most important parts of your application is going to be the essays. This is because it gives the selection committee a deeper insight into who you are as an individual from both a personal and academic perspective. Fulbright for Barbados and the Eastern Caribbean requires you to submit 2 essays along with your application, a personal statement and a study objective. So, as promised, here is the personal statement that got me a Fulbright scholarship.
For of those to whom much is given, much is required.
Kennedy, 1961. This ideology has been a constant in my life for as long as I can remember. And for a long time, it felt as though it was thrust upon me, a responsibility which I did not particularly want nor understand. Perhaps it was my parents' way of ensuring that I continually strive for excellence, or simply the result of my teachers' high expectations. Whatever the case was, as a child and especially as a teenager, I always met it with indifference. In fact, I could argue that until my final year of university, I did not fully appreciate the weight or the meaning of this ideology until I had a heart-to-heart discussion with one of my undergraduate lecturers about my future, my place in the world, and what it meant to me. I grew up as a younger child of 2 middle-class working parents who both committed themselves to advancing in their given careers so that their sons could have better lives than they did. My parents believe in the power of education as a stepping stone for societal progress, so much so that both of them dreamt of being educators, and yet ironically, neither of them got the opportunity to attend a traditional university. My mother began working immediately after secondary school at 17 years old in the accounting departments of various businesses instead of teaching mathematics to school children. My father, who loves world history and English, forewent that path in favor of service in the Barbados Defence Force. Despite this, my parents, who both came from working class backgrounds, recognized the privilege of their jobs and sought to help the less fortunate around them through acts of community service, personal mentorship in youth programs, and love for fellow man. Because to whom much is given, much is expected, teaching my brother and I by the power of their example. In secondary school, I vividly remember my end-of-year reports being punctuated with comments about my ability, usually along the lines of, "can do so much better if he applies himself." I usually brushed this off as by then it had become a regularity of my school life. To tell you the truth, I would have been more shocked not to see it. This led up to a discussion when I was 16 with some of my teachers, who let me know that I was being considered for the position of head boy, but a point of contention was whether or not I would take the role seriously. Something that stuck with me particularly was what my biology teacher said. The students deserve a head boy that will understand them, that will advocate for their concerns, and will lead the school with compassion. I think the best person for the job is you, but you have to think that as well, because the student body and this school deserve the best of your service. It is bigger than you. And for the first time that I can remember, the weight of "to whom much is given, much is expected" really set in. Serving as head boy was one of the most fulfilling roles I had the honor of holding. It is said that university is one place where you can find yourself. And from personal experience, I really do believe that is true. I enrolled in undergraduate studies at 17, in a new country, away from most everything I knew, and with little sense of direction in what I would pursue after the next 3 years were over. And as such, I think I reverted on the progress that I had made in favor of self-preservation in a new and challenging environment. I was studying a major that, although I thought I liked it, I was miserable and no longer passionate about school, simply instead going through the motions. Deciding that a change of pace was necessary, I altered my major to include a field which I always particularly liked, but never actually pursued: international relations. This brought me into an introductory course with a lecturer who reignited my spark in learning and who quite literally changed my outlook in life. My grades significantly improved, and I began taking on a more active role in classroom discussions, even when that educator no longer taught me. In May of 2021, knowing that I was coming to the end of my studies and ultimately leaving Jamaica, I wanted to say goodbye. It was in this instance that my lecturer asked me about my plans after undergraduate school. I told her that I wasn't quite sure. I'd probably get a job and get some experience under my belt while I saved up to pursue a graduate degree, to which she asked me if I had considered any scholarships. She thought that I was more than capable of earning one, but I was less sure of myself. I'll never forget her response. "Christopher, you have bright ideas and you're forward thinking. You cannot rob Barbados and the Caribbean of a skilled thinker because you're afraid to try. I won't let you. This isn't about you. It's about helping to make a better Caribbean than the one you found for the ones coming after you. So promise me that you'll think about it, because the world needs minds like yours. To whom much is given, much is expected." Barbados is a country that has granted me free and quality healthcare, free education up to the tertiary level, and has allowed my parents to elevate socially through employment to a comfortable lifestyle. Many Barbadians can say the same. In asking what can my country do for me, I can say that it has done much. At the same time, Barbados and the Caribbean are adversely positioned to be affected by the climate crisis, the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, and their impacts on the livelihoods of Bajans and the wider West Indies. In considering this, Barbados and the region need qualified individuals to help them navigate these socio-economic issues. Thus, I think a more appropriate question now is not what can my country do for me, but what can I do for my country? Because of those to whom much is given, much is required.